I didn't actually always want to be an attorney. I wanted to dance. And yep, I know, crazy. I don't really dance now, but like for fun. But anywho, my dad, who's actually from Jamaica, he was just like, listen, kid, I don't know about this one. And I'm like, what? And he was like, you need to do something with some longevity. And I was like, okay, well, what else do I actually like?
Welcome to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Anissa Toba. And today we are joined by a superstar in New York family law, Asia Scarlett-Jones. Now, she's a founder of ASC Law Office. She's an Amazon #1 best-selling author. And she was named Family Kind's Rising Star in 2024. And I remember attending that event, which was fabulous. But I'm sure there is so much there. She has great energy, and I cannot wait to find out what's behind that awesome legal title. She doesn't know that yet. Asia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, you're bringing such a great energy. We ran into each other a few times at a networking event, but as we spoke just a few minutes earlier, it's really great to get to know people on a personal level, which is very different than what you share, when you're at a cocktail party or a networking event. Um, so I am just going right in. Tell me your story. How did you get here, and what were you like growing up?
Ooh, yeah, right into it. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so I'm from New York City, and anyone that's from here knows it's insane, right? We have so many opportunities, just it's a lot going on. But I didn't actually always want to be an attorney. I wanted to dance. And yep, I know, crazy. I don't really dance now, but like for fun. But anywho, my dad, who's actually from Jamaica, he was just like, listen, kid, I don't know about this one. And I'm like, what? And he was like, you need to do something with some longevity. And I was like, okay, well, what else do I actually like? So I joined a debate team in high school and fell in love. Like we went into a law firm in the city for like a trial, like a mock trial situation. So I got to experience that and I fell in love. I was like, I have to be in the city. I have to be an attorney. I didn't know I wanted to do family law, right? I was just like, oh, like maybe corporate law, right? Like something fancy. So I didn't do corporate law, not at all. And then eventually went off to college. I actually worked at the New York State Assembly. Like I interned there for a while, and then I realized I didn't want to be a politician. I was all over the place. And then eventually I went into obviously law school, and then my first job was actually at legal aid. And that's just God bless legal aid. 18B attorneys, legal aid is a tough job. Definitely, a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into it. But then I became a court attorney. Then I went into private practice. And then I just realized I wanted to practice law differently than maybe my colleagues. And I opened my own firm. So I was like, why not? Because I wouldn't be a New Yorker if I didn't just run out on a limb and do something crazy during the pandemic. So then I found the ASA Law Office. So that was the journey here,
Yeah, just like that.
just like
That's incredible. Wow. Now going back to when you actually wanted to dance, how old were you when and how did you get into it?
like very small. Like right now, I have two sons. One is 8, and I mean literally, my kid is dancing around the house, and he reminds me so much of myself. Like when I was a toddler, just dancing in front of my family, just performance. Like that was my thing. But I just find like you can express yourself so much through dance, right? Like you want to feel good, or even if you're sad, like
Yeah.
dancing is a thing. And I truly do think there's an art. Now, I'm no professional dancer, so don't challenge me, but I enjoyed it. So that's just me.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like correlation between so then you were actually on the debate team, which in of it itself it says almost like a performing, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's what was that like?
It's funny now because I don't like to litigate as much, and I guess we'll get into that, but it's just not healthy for families overall. I don't think, that's just 100% my opinion, but I feel like, it is a performance. And I kind of don't like TV attorneys. But back then I didn't know. So I felt like you had to put on a performance, right? Like, you are, isn't it true? Like, it's so dramatic. But there is a correlation because you're performing, right? We're changing our persona when we get before the judge. Sometimes we are a bit different because we have a story to tell. It's not ours, right? It's our clients, and it's coming through us, but we are performing. But I think dancing is a little better than litigating. Yeah, I don't particularly care for that part of family law anymore.
Yeah, there's a difference. I think, if there's a self-serving and I want to be out in the spotlight versus advocating for someone, and it doesn't have to be adversarial, and helping families really heal much faster. What have you found? Like, what was that defining moment when you said to yourself, litigation is really not healthy. That is not what I want to practice as much. When was that?
Once I became a court attorney, so like my trajectory is a little different than most of my adversaries, right? So I've gone from public service to court attorney to private practice. But during that point, when I was a court attorney, we work in a different capacity. And it was really disheartening to see families coming into the courthouse, and I don't know what they thought was going to happen, which was so odd. Like, I think they thought it was a safe place. Like, they were coming into, like, something was going to happen that was going to be, monumental in their lives. And it just isn't. And it's really sad, right? Like, the system that, they believe is supposed to help is not going to help. And it's not necessarily for the lack of, trying, for each individual player, so attorney, the judge, and everyone else. It's just the system is just not set up to do that. And it hurt, I hate to say that, but it did. Like, I've watched parents cry. I've had clients that gone to jail. I've watched clients, and this is family court, right? Like, in child support land, you can go to jail if you don't pay your child support. So after years of seeing that, I'm like, I have to do something different. Like, I have to help families understand there's another way. So, like, I'm also a mediator because I really just believe, like, if you sat down and had a conversation, as tough as that conversation will be, it would make a difference in the long term for your children and for yourself. Like, you want peace, right? Like, do you want to do this for 10 years? So, I started my own practice because I knew there was another way. There's so many other attorneys like me. They hate litigating. We pick up a case, we pick up the phone, we want to settle this case. Let's see how we can work together. But unfortunately, there are more attorneys not like me who are very adversarial. So once I realized that I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, I didn't want my legacy to be this, badass litigator taking everyone down, because I watched families suffer after that. Like, the attorneys look good, but the families, they were leaving and they were suffering after.
Much, much, much healthier way of resolving the conflict. And you probably have found that, at the end of the day, people want a practical solution and to be able to move forward. Now, there's some people who find, strange sort of attachment to wanting to protract the war, but that's a whole different category. And those folks probably should litigate. But most people, you're absolutely right. And there are practitioners who take it personally and they take it on as this mission. So, that's very, very admirable. And then you said you started your own firm just like that, boom, after COVID. What was that like?
I actually did it during COVID.
During COVID.
It was actually insane. I think we're so far removed. Sometimes we forget what that was like in 2020. And I was in a smaller firm, and I enjoyed working in that firm. I enjoyed the partner. Definitely, I learned so much, but I realized that, I kind of needed a break from this, and I didn't want to stop, which is a very weird position to be in. My granddad was sick at that time and eventually passed away. We were on lockdown. It was so much pressure. And that didn't necessarily slow down the practice of law. Like, you would think everything would freeze, but people were like, oh my gosh, like, going at it. And I was like, wait, this is the time. this is the time. I can really make a big difference if I do it now, right? To teach everyone like, hey, we can go through this process, but it doesn't have to be so like contentious, and I took a leap of faith in October 2020. I formed my firm and I haven't looked back. And I won't look back. I still take I have so much pride in like the work we do, the efficiency, like my clients walk away feeling better about themselves. And, we can't stop conflict, but we can, really adjust how we handle it. Like we have a great duty as attorneys to do better and set an example for these clients. And I enjoy it.
Set an example. Yeah. Now life's about, challenges as well. What is something that you had to grow through, maybe an event that was, almost life altering for you?
What's interesting, and before we jumped on, I said to you, like, you never really know how much you want to share with people. But I always say personal experience is really the best teacher. So my parents are awesome, and they went through a divorce. And it's interesting because they have had a very amicable divorce, married for over 20 years. And I really thought that would change my view on marriage and just the process. And it didn't. It really kind of solidified my position now of no, we can make this work. And it was a lot. My parents were separated for a long period of time, but they always tried their best to remain, very amicable, like not, and it was very emotional, right? Divorce is, it's emotional. But it was a big thing at that time when they separated and then going through the divorce process. But I learned so much from them, how they remained so like, just shockingly calm. And I was like, wow. But that was a big lesson for me, not just like as a wife, but just as a practitioner and just seeing that. So I was so happy to like, walk away feeling, okay, if they can do it, anyone can do it. I can help someone else through that.
Yeah, I mean, I have goosebumps as you're describing it. You're more relatable on that level with your clients because I think I mean, I've been in the industry for about 25 years and I've seen it sort of it puts people in the sort of the shadow side. It brings out the shadow side, right? There's a sense of shame. And when
Yes.
you beat them down in the litigated process, I mean, it worsens. And so if they're dealing with somebody who they perceive to be similar, and and they can relate to, and just not be this perfect,
Person.
persona, right, in a suit, that's I think that deepens the connection, and it can actually really, really help. And it's interesting that you said that. I've been through divorce myself, and me and my ex really, we had done great job in co-parenting. We sucked being married to you, but our kids would tell us like, you
Really
guys
good
were
things.
great. We
Yeah.
had like friends from intact families and their parents were arguing all the time. And you two were like friends and we couldn't pull something over one than the other
Yeah.
because you were always united, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't
That's a
have
good
to be
thing.
that way.
It does.
Um, all right, let's talk about Divorce Decoded. A
Mm,
book. And it's an interesting book. You target a very narrow niche.
yes.
Tell me about this book and how did that come about?
So interesting. Everyone always says that, like, do you only represent men? I was like, no, I represent everyone. However, so remember I told you in the beginning of my career, I started at legal aid
Yes.
and I was kind of thrown into child support land. Child support is very unique. And it was a frustrating yet very fulfilling experience. I started to learn a little bit more about the psychology of litigation, right? Like I think we need to really like one day teach a course on this, right? There is a psychology behind family law and litigation, but anywho, from that point on and going forward, I noticed a trend with my clients, specifically my male clients, and how they dealt with finances, custody. And I found myself repeating the same thing over and over and over and over. And coupled with the fact that, so I'm married, I have a brother, I'm very close with my dad and my uncles, so many men around me. I started to do like this research unbeknownst to myself. I was doing this research and I realized that this is such a common issue with custody and divorce in New York and how men perceive it, right? Specifically professional men. And there is a stigma behind it. There's also shame. Men are not really filing divorces as much as women sometimes. Like, it's just so much that went behind it. So I was like, I'm just going to write a book. And I remember my husband was like, okay, whatever. And I didn't bring it up again. I'm like a person, I just pop up with these random ideas and then I do it and come back. So I started the process, and after the book was done, and I'm like, this is it. Like, I just want to give something to someone to pick up and read and to have from a person like me, right? Because you can have, a very seasoned attorney for 50 years, and then they write a book and it's like, okay, but like, are they really relatable sometimes? And that's something that I've heard a lot from clients. Like, they felt like I was relatable. They felt like they hired me because they could confide in me. And I made them feel comfortable. I was stern, but I got the point across. So I wrote the book and I'm very proud of it. I feel like, I always say, reading a book, no one has to know. No one will ever know what's happening in your personal life. Just pick up the book, read it. There's some information in there. So right? You don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people just don't know. So they will just hide from it, right? Like, maybe they're being taken advantage of. They can't see their kids and they won't fight because they don't really know the law behind child support. I've heard that so many times, and it's a lot, but I love my little baby book. That's my first one, There'll be more, but that's my other baby. Yes, yes.
Yes, there'll be more for sure.
More.
It's so funny. I heard the word efficient, doer. I want something due. I just get it done, announce it, it's done. I mean, you're so much like me. It's like, yeah, you want it done. It's been done. Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
While you're thinking about it, it's been done.
I already did it.
Throw it in twice, 3 times. Version number 2.
Over.
Now, if you are not a lawyer, what would you do? What would be your sort of I don't want to say dream profession, but what other career would you be interested in?
Denisa, when I say I love interior design, I'm obsessed.
Wow.
Do you hear me? I'm obsessed. If I could like just buy 20 houses and just continue to decorate them. I mean, my husband wouldn't like it, but I'm obsessed with it. Like, I watch YouTube videos, I study it, that might be like the second career, honestly. Like, I'm really thinking about it. I just think it's so like, someone's home actually says so much about them. Like, if you go to someone's home and how it's decorated and what's important to them, like, it tells a story. So, I love it. I'm obsessed. I have to say, I'm obsessed with interior design. I would be an interior designer for sure.
Wow. How do you fuel this passion? What do you do? Are you allowed to?
I was going to say,
it's just in your head.
It has to be for now. I mean, I help friends sometimes, right? Like, and then I just decorate my own home, right? That is my other baby. But I actually, for like one moment, like a month, I was like, you know what? I'm going to build a portfolio. And I'm just like, Asia, you got to slow down, kid.
That's interesting.
But I don't know. I like it. I think, it's definitely, and I guess similar to performing and dancing, is your way of expressing yourself. Like, how do you like to, perform, and it's just like, I like the idea of pictures and art and color and everything just kind of going together. And it's such a good stress reliever, especially in this profession. So it's like, whose house can I decorate now? Oh, you're buying a new house? Oh my gosh. Have you been to my house? My house is great. Let me show you my first baby. So yes, interior design.
That's interesting. Yeah, what a great outlet. I can definitely see a pattern, the self-expression. What does your weekend look like in your house?
So I have 2 boys, 12 and 8. They are actually so cool. And I'm not just saying that because they're my kids, but they're really cool. So they like video games. So I try to engage in that as much as I can. I am a boy mom. I try my best. I'm the only female in my house. So I don't have much time to do girly things, but a good weekend, I'm like sleeping in late. Like, I'm just chilling, hanging out with my kids. We love going out to eat. I'm obsessed. I'm a foodie. I love to eat. So we'll go out to eat, quick getaways, like a trip quick trip to like DC or to the Catskills, like just somewhere like family time. Like I need that time to reset and really just take a break. So my weekends are normally just that, like finding something fun to do with my boys because I'm busy during the week and I don't want to feel guilty about that. Like, so I know during the week but the weekend is all theirs. They have me, whatever they want to do with mom or wife, I'm there. So that's my weekend.
So cool. Are you
Mhm.
binging on any shows?
Hmm. Okay. So, and I think everyone's like shocked when I say this. I like Housewives of New York. I like Real Housewives of New York. I'm just like, I can't understand why people don't watch Housewives. Like, it's so entertaining. And it's either Beverly Hills or New York. It depends on how I feel. Like just like two different, obviously sides of the world. But it's like if I want something cool, calm, a little aggressive, then I'll do Housewives of Beverly Hills or New York. But my sister and my brother, like they get on me all the time. I have a real problem with finishing shows. So I started White Locust,
Uh-huh.
Lioness, I think I don't even remember the names.
Yeah.
It's the sad part. And that's it. And then I don't know what else. YouTube probably. And then I'm asleep.
Doesn't hold your attention. You're probably so like, okay, come on. That's interesting with the Housewives. I had somebody who actually said it's sort of like a mental floss. And I used to binge it too. And then all of a sudden I got kind of like, it's like a same old, same old. So I switched
Yeah.
to like murder mysteries.
Oh,
Yeah. And quick, not like the deeply, deeply, deeply intense
okay.
stuff.
Like the disturbed.
No, 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 no. Oh my God, I can't. I cannot even watch like a scary horror movie with a pillow in front of my face. It's like, no, I can't.
I have too much anxiety. Like
Yeah,
I
no,
can't do
no
it.
way.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah. Um, so on a completely different note, just watching sort of, your generation or even like incoming attorneys, how do you feel like maybe like your generation, how do you feel they're adapting to the constant changing environment? Number one, the workforce, where we are in a fully hybrid mode, and there's virtually borderless. And then with technological advances, primarily AI,
Hmm.
um, it's almost like if you're not using it in some way, shape, or form, you're already way behind. What are your thoughts about that?
It's actually really interesting. I feel like I'm stuck between two different generations, right? Like my
Yeah.
mentors versus the incoming attorneys that I'm hiring. Like it's just like, oh my gosh, there's two different sides of the spectrum. But technology is great when used the right way. In the beginning, when AI became like a thing, which that's super controversial, but it's not going anywhere. So I'm not sure why we're not using it. And I feel like if you own a firm, right, like you need to use technology to build your firm, to sustain your firm. Work is so weird. I remember when before we even COVID was a thing, I suggested, and I laugh at how bold I was. I was like to my managing attorney then, the partner, I was like, I
Yeah.
think we should really consider the fact that we shouldn't have to come back to the office after every court appearance. Like we need some type of technology that I can use at home
Yeah.
and in the office, right? Because you trust me. Like I'm going to court, I did my work, I want to go home and work from there. The work is getting done. Why do I need to come back? Like that just doesn't make for happy employees. And I don't know, he went with it. He was like, all right, we'll give it a shot. And then like a month
Wow.
later, COVID hit. So it was a good thing he listened because now we have like, a cloud-based, they had a cloud-based system. But
Mm.
in my firm, we have hybrid, we have virtual, employees. And I think it's important like to get with the times, like don't fight against it, adapt and learn how it can help you. And AI is definitely a gift and a curse to a certain extent, but I find it to be more of a pro than a con.
Mm.
So yeah, so now my clients, like you have to know how to use technology. right? That's a part of efficiency. I just
Yeah.
can't see how you can be very efficient if you are not using technology and AI, because your task will take you 20 hours to do and it'll take me 10. And it's the same work product. So, unfortunately and fortunately, we're still writing motions and doing all those things. I don't think that should change or will change. And it may actually, I take that back. It might. I think that that part is separate, but running a firm, yeah, technology all the way. It makes us move fast.
Yeah. Uh, completely agree. Yeah, I'm share the same thoughts, just to make things efficient,
Yeah.
automate as much as you can. And yeah, it's that makes a lot of sense. And
Mm.
yeah, I know there's this ongoing dilemma whether you show up in person, or virtually.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, I guess it same thing goes true with what you said about, I guess maybe it depends on the situation, right? If you can't show up to certain networking events, especially as an incoming attorney, and I'm hearing this from other practitioners, there's something about energy, shaking someone's hand and just making that commitment. But at the same time, if you are, I don't know, if you need to get your CLEs done, and if
Mm.
you can watch a webinar online, as opposed to schlepping 2 hours each way, or hour and a half each way, to
Yeah.
be somewhere.
We should do it that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it's just not realistic anymore to set that form of expectation. I mean, I enjoy, meeting people in person. That's great. But some of like committee meetings and board meetings, we're virtual, and I'm okay with that because this meeting is at 7:30. I really don't want to be in front of anyone at
Yeah.
7:30 in the morning, but court appearances, they vary. Some are in person, some are virtual. But, back in my day, the court was always in person. Like you didn't have a choice. You had to show up in person. You would sit there for hours and hours. And, there are times you had to come back after lunch, after waiting there for hours. It was so inefficient. Like I just can't even believe we did that. So now it's just like, okay, you have an event at 6 p.m. Most people get off at 5, right? So
Yeah.
now you have to finish work, rush through that, and then like try to hurry up and get like, it's just the world has changed. We should adapt to it, right? And not fight against it. So I'm okay. Look, we're doing this podcast and we're not in the same place.
Exactly. I know.
We
It's
get it done.
incredible. Yeah. Yeah, and see, and that's, we talked about it, is, having, it's important to lift the stigma about
Mm.
attorneys, and being able to share stories like that. It's actually almost like elevating the humanness, and connecting, and it'd be virtually impossible. I think I've done maybe 80 episodes since I started, and people all over the world. Actually, I had someone in Australia when the earthquake was happening on Long Island, and we were in the middle of it, and everything started shaking here. So I mean, it was
Wow.
just wild stuff, but it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Listen, you and I can gab for a long time, so and we'll definitely have you back. But on any parting thoughts, anything you'd like to share, announce, talk about?
Listen, I definitely think we probably could do this for like another 5 hours. I would love to come back. This was so much fun. And, I always think to myself, if I could spread anything to families that are out there, either they're about to go through a divorce, they're going through a divorce, or some type of litigation, just to give hope. That's a big thing for us at ASJ Law Office, is that you don't have to do this, and be miserable. We don't. We try to make it fun, as fun as it can be, and representing clients, and really there's passion and compassion behind representation. And that's something I think is missing sometimes from the practice, especially in matrimonial and family law, is we have to set an example and be compassionate for the families that we serve. So I hope that, whoever's watching this, especially if they're not, an attorney and they're watching this, that they know that we exist out there. Attorneys like me exist.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And the piece about, fun is bringing the lightness into something that is very difficult, and not losing your sense of yourself. I
Yeah.
love how you framed it. So this is great. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us and sharing your story. And of course, to our listeners and viewers, you can find Asia's best-selling book, Divorce Decoded, on Amazon. Make sure that you follow her journey through her links down below. and also to find out how to get a hold of her, that we're linking her website below. And do not forget to subscribe to Beyond the Bar podcast for more conversations with amazing pros. And until next time, stay inspired and stay curious.